from one podcaster to another, Ian. It's really great to have you on the show, Ian Lunny, part of Grapple Worlds 1, and you're on Grapple Worlds 2, upcoming on Saturday, the 28th of March. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you for having me here. And yeah, it's very nice to share with a fellow podcaster as well. I'm sure the behind the scenes chat of how we edit and stuff like that is all the spicy things we love talking about as podcasters.
We don't edit. That's the point. Listeners and people watching, you have no idea what we're going to talk about. We don't even know.
We don't know.
Stay for the ride. Stay for the ride. Okay. I've been scouring through your Instagram account because I've never met you in person before, Ian. Sweaty chest, flailing limbs, and the one move that worked in training that clearly doesn't work in competition. What's going on?
Which move's that? Sorry, which one am I constantly trying?
Well, I don't know. You tell me.
I constantly try choi bars and they don't work in competitions. And I'm trying to think now. Heel hooks as well. I try a lot and they don't work. I'm on the spot now. I'm like going through my competition record and being like, what have I failed to, which is quite often a lot of submissions to try and get, and they don't work. I consider myself, I guess, a leg locker and I think that's what most people know me for, is being a leg locker. I think in training rooms, I'm known as a leg locker, but I think my ratio of leg locks is not very high. I don't think it's like the highest ratio of submissions by leg lock.
But that's fine. They're effective. Because obviously I've had a chat with Mike Clark, who was caught out by you with a leg lock at Grapple Worlds 1. Talk us through your build up to Grapple Worlds 1 and obviously the win.
Yes. Well, we were just talking about my introduction to yourself, and I saw a video, and I was kind of sad I didn't meet you on Grapple Worlds because I saw a video of you talking to Mike, and Mike was talking about me as an opponent, etc. And he was like, he's a leg locker, I know that much, and he's not going to do it. And I saw this after the match, and I was like, well, it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way. I got the leg lock in that one. Although I think looking back on the match, I was spamming leg locks a lot. And I think something I'm trying to work on right now is like breaking mechanics and making sure that I'm actually getting the right sort of pressure on them and looking at the fulcrums, levers of a submission to ensure that I'm doing all the right stuff. Because really looking at the match, the build up to it's quite funny, but on the day I could tell Mike immediately was like way stronger than I was. Like we were standing in something that I'd been working on with my coaches at the time, Kit, who was also on Grapple Worlds on the first one, was stand up. They wanted to be like, you don't want to just be a leg locker, right? Don't be that guy. Just don't be the one thing that everybody knows you for. So I went into that match being like, I am going to wrestle. I'm going to stand. I'm going to do what I can. Yeah. And the second I touched him, I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not. You can watch the video. It's literally 30 seconds. I literally was like, no, I'm going to just sit down. No, I'm not doing this at all. Because I could feel it. I could physically be like, no, I can't. This is mad. So I pulled guard. We had a good exchange back and forth. There was a cheeky wrist lock that he tried on me, which I was not having any of that.
He hasn't mentioned that one. That's a low blow.
You see it in the video. He tries to do a wrist lock, and I shake my finger being like, no, that's not working today, my friend. And I went back and forth with him a little bit, finally got into an Aoki lock, which I've been working more on the breaking mechanics of that because it's one of my favorite submissions. But I could feel a lot of things popping and cracking and things like that. And he just was not tapping. And I just couldn't figure out. I was like, what am I meant to do here? Like, am I like, he's not I even remember looking at my corner guy being like, what am I doing? And I remember him saying something like, look, you're going to win a decision. You've done like multiple attacks here. There's no way they would do the other way. So I remember having it and like easing off because I just was like, it's not gonna. And I also like, it's a weird feeling, and I think it's been my detriment in some other matches, which I'm sure we'll chat about. I don't necessarily always have the feeling of like wanting to pull the trigger and like break somebody's ankle. Like I don't have that. And I'd used to in the past a little bit, but that feeling is kind of like gone a bit because it's like, I don't want them to break my ankle because I got to go to work.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't want to break his ankle because I also want to go to work. He wants to go to work. So I was like, I could feel all of this like popping, and I was like,
that might be an age thing. Sorry, Mike.
maybe. But I didn't know. Are we allowed to swear, by the way? Am I allowed to swear?
I've had to log explicit on this podcast.
Cool.
And,
well, I was going to say, I didn't know what the fuck was going on with that ankle. Well, I genuinely didn't know what was happening with it. So I eased off, and then he kind of came up, and it just went. So I kind of am like, he's very nice to say, and I got the submission bonus, and he was nice to say that it is me who completely compromised the knee. But I sometimes am like, if I was doing it right, it probably would have gone earlier, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But then my coach watched it, and he was like, I don't know, like it does look like he just wasn't tapping. So it's a mixed one, that one. But the build up for the match was quite funny as well. Funny now, at the time, not so. If you recall, that beautiful summer we were having back then, hottest day of the year, and I trained on that day. I was like, this will be a good idea. I'll train. It's fine. I have a mentality of my opponent's going to be in training, so I have to be in training. I have that very much like, if they're doing one, I have to do one. So I try and train every day.
Yeah.
And I walked into town to train, and it was so hot. And I was like, this is awful. Like, this is so hot. And I started feeling really unwell. Okay. And I was like, this is, why am I feeling so terrible? And I went and trained. And I remember after class, I stayed after class with one of the coaches called Mikey, a lovely guy. And I just couldn't really, I felt really dizzy. And then I left class, and genuinely, I was going to be sick. I couldn't and I had to call 111. It turned out I had got heat stroke.
Oh no!
And I had to sit on my couch with ice all around me, and my partner came in and was like, "Oh my god, what is wrong?" I couldn't go to work the next couple of days. I was like really being sick, and so on the day of, this was the Wednesday or the Tuesday. It was the Tuesday of that week. So by the Saturday of the match, my weight, I think we agreed to do 88, I think, maybe off the top of my head. My weight was like 83 because I had like not been able to eat solids, and I was like vomiting, and it was so bad. And then after the match, Mike was like, yeah, I was like 90s plus something. And I was like, no wonder you felt crazy strong, because I had nothing in me anymore. I had heat stroke that week, and you were like hydrated. You'd done everything perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, my build up to Grapple Worlds 1 was less than ideal. And I'm hoping that this time round I won't get heat stroke, as it's in March rather than in the midst of the heats of summer.
You never know. Obviously, everyone's been talking about the fact that it's rained every single day in the UK this year so far, which is very disappointing. No wonder we're feeling all a bit rubbish. But we're coming into spring, so there is an opportunity for some really bright sunny days. Equally, there's opportunity for snow. And March, you never know. You just never know.
Well, you never know. I might get frozen in. I might get frostbite or something like that building up to this one.
Look, Ian, you don't need to be calling it. Norman is gonna, Norman will be there for you.
Yeah, we'll both be there. Well, as I try not to pull out of matches, even if I have heat stroke, I will be there.
Good. So you're in a 78 kilo weight division or weight category against Norman Saunders. Do you know much about him? Have you done any research, or is that something you put to one side?
I kind of put it to one side, if I'm honest. I've done a little bit. I work with BJJ Nutrition, Jay from that. and I work with Mark Hibbard as well as my PT. So Jay usually gives me good advice because he's very like knowledgeable beyond nutrition. He's an amazing guy to be working with. So, you know, when I have these matchups, he usually gives me a little bit of advice of like, oh, you should work on this maybe, etc. When it comes to my opponents, I do a little bit of research myself. Like I've checked, obviously, Norman's Instagram. I'm sure he's checked mine. But really, I focus on what I'm going to do. Like I try and focus on what my game is. I try and focus on the things that I want to improve. Every match for me is like an opportunity to diversify my game. And if I have a good stylistic matchup of somebody who, you know, either, you know, has good stand-up, has good leg locks, well-rounded, I want to become well-rounded. So for me, I just want to improve. So I just focus on my own game, really.
Good. I was interviewing Alex Rogers, who's coming over from the US for Grapple Worlds too. And one of the things, I'm a blue belt, so I'm still learning lots and lots. But one of the things that I found really interesting was him saying that he kind of prepares to be matched with the body type rather than you know, their style, which I hadn't really considered before. Being you know, I'm kind of nearly 5'5" ish, but I always get matched with women that are much taller than me, and it always surprises me every single time. And I go, I don't know how to be matched with you. I don't know what to do with you. You're too tall for me. But is that a strategy that you apply in kind of working with body types rather than their style?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good like way to think. I mean, it's interesting. I used to compete at like 95, I think. I think that was my first like invitational thing was at this one in Manchester called Valhalla Grappling. And I think I was 95 for that match. And I've always really been against a lot bigger guys. Mike, obviously, as well. And even in local competitions and more like, you know, ones in London, I've always been at quite heavy categories. So I think sometimes my style benefits from dealing with bigger guys who are going to give a lot of top pressure. And I do actually, now that we're talking about it, I think maybe subconsciously that is something that I do, because with my training partners at Rogers, I look at like, you know, styles and size. I guess it's like, you know, I want to go against people who are going to be top players, bottom players, etc. But the size is something that I do look in the room. Like I will look, you know, even subconsciously being like, okay, we're similar builds, we're similar weights. What weight? And sometimes I'll ask, what weight are you? And then I can like, especially if we look similar, then I can gauge it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I think that's actually probably a better philosophy to do than looking at stylistic stuff.
It's quite interesting that you're saying you fought at different weights. As a female in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, prior to Jiu-Jitsu, weight has always been a massive issue. You know, you daren't say how many kilos you weigh, but actually it's become a lot more comfortable to openly talk about weight divisions and weight categories because it's a weight making sport. But equally, you know, there's nothing stopping us from actually asking and having a quite an open and honest conversation that, you know, the shame's gone out of the room. We're all there. We all fight at different weight divisions. How have you found kind of being matched at 95 and now you're at the kind of 78 kilos? That's quite a weight difference for some of us that understand how difficult it is to shift. You know,
it is pretty
big.
Kilos. Yeah, it's pretty big. I think, you know, that 95 was when I, you know, before I was working with Jay. And that was a few years ago, because I've been quite marred with injuries, which has stopped me from like having the consistent matches that I've wanted. Like my plan every year, I say this to my partner every year, is that I'm going to compete once a month every year. And unfortunately, that has not come to be. And really, I've competed 3 times a year on average because of injuries, which is annoying. This year, I'm hoping for it to be different. I've got, I'm going to be competing next weekend on the PSG Polaris thing that they're doing in London and Somerset and all those things. So I'm going to be doing that as kind of like a good jump in warm up for this. Yeah. Interestingly, at a bigger weight division, so I don't need to care about weight cutting. So that one is going to be looping it back round. I was making it back round to weights. That one is about like 88, 90. So, and right now I'm about 85, 86. So, I think in terms of like working with Jay has been like the biggest thing. Working with, the team at BJJ Nutrition, working with him has been like the biggest thing that's helped me really talk about my weight, focus on divisions and figure that out. Before that, I think I was just rocking up to a competition and just thinking what weight I am that day and then going to train. And it's really not optimal, at all, and, now talking to him, it's like we've worked out probably coming down to that 80 sort of bracket is probably the right thing to do, and then have a little cut down, because really my build is not made for that bigger divisions. And I have never competed at 70s. So actually I think the first time I ever competed, which was like, God, must be like 7-8 years ago now, maybe 7 years ago. I think I was set in the 70s then. I was a lot smaller. And then I ate every food that I wanted and became in my 90s. And like with him, it's now being like, it will be interesting to see what I'm like at 70. Because I managed to hang in there with people at 90. Obviously, it's not like I find that match is overwhelming, and I roll with people those size at training, at open mats, etc. But it will be interesting to see actually what it's like to compete in the 70s. My lightest competition was actually at Collision just recently, which I think was like 82, I think, off the top of my head. So that's the lightest I've competed at since I've been taking this stuff more seriously.
Good. Well, it will be very interesting. And just a reminder, the sponsors of Grapple Worlds 2 are Zebra, Soul Taker Fightwear, Grapple App, Pure Recharge, 10th Planet Banbury, and 10th Planet Milton Keynes. Go and follow them all. The links are in the show notes over on Instagram. And as always, check out the clips on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Today, I'm having a conversation with Ian Lunny. Now, your name has been mentioned so many times, Ian.
I hope in a good way. That's very ominous.
I know. You hear the name, but you haven't met the person.
Worst. He's the worst person. Don't talk to him. He's terrible.
So let's move on and talk about some of the other things outside. A number of Grapple Worlds athletes and competitors have pets. But you have podcasting, Ian. Talk to us about your kind of niche in the podcast world.
Yeah. So my other passions other than jiu-jitsu is being a massive nerd. I'm like a huge nerd. Like I love comic books. I love, as you can probably tell by some of my things on my shelves over here, I have lots of comic books. I like reading. I studied history and American studies at university, and then my master's was in philosophy, sociology, history. So I have a passion for I was going to say I have a passion for writing. I used to have a passion for writing, but being dyslexic, it can be a bit of a pain. And also doing degrees kind of forces that passion out of you because you have to write thousands of words. But I really do enjoy like studying politics and philosophy and film. So a podcast that we have is The Phantom Zone, which is spelled FANTOM. And that is with UK Film Review, where we talk about comic book films, all things nerdy, Star Wars, all kinds of things. If there's a nerd fandom, we'll be there to talk about it.
Okay. Good.
So yeah, that's what we do on the side, and we I have a lot of fun with it, actually. As a podcaster, you probably know it is a lot of fun actually doing a podcast. It takes up a lot of time, but it's very rewarding afterwards.
Yes, it is. And having great conversations, because you never quite know. None of these are scripted. None of them have kind of pre-written questions. But I do want to thank you for sharing another slice of your life.
Well, thank you for giving me the plug to drop in. Go listen, everybody. Go listen to our event. If you like comic books and stuff, or models, I collect Warhammer as well and stuff. So if we talk about that, so go over there, have a listen.
I will put the link in the show notes, Ian. But let's talk about your build up to Grapple Worlds 2. Obviously, there's a weight cut. You've got competitions coming up before Grapple Worlds 2. What else does your preparation look like, especially some of the work that you're doing with Jay at BJJ Nutrition?
Yeah, so I'm training at Rogers now, which I've been training off and on there for about 3 years actually. And like, for me, as I mentioned before, a lot of preparation for competing is perfecting my game and like looking at the areas where I can improve, the holes, the gaps. So I tend not to like obsess too much about my opponent and their style. I always try and reach out to my opponents just to thank them for the matches, because I'm sure there's people in the jiu-jitsu world who are like this, but I really can't like dislike who I'm against. I really don't like going in being angry or like I've got to, destroy this person, and I just don't like having that feeling. Because I think you become a bit clouded. Because I think when I was younger, I used to have this sort of like, you've got to go into competitions with hype and listen to like music that makes you like properly angry and blah, blah, blah. Now, most of the time I'm listening to stuff like, I'm trying to think, my hype music. It's usually like Charlie XCX or some sort of hyperpop or something like that. I try and listen to like good vibes before a match. So I always try and reach out to my opponents, thank them for the match. I appreciate their time and them going onto the mat too. I never try and get angry and just try and chat with them because I would like to, be friendly. And then in terms of like the actual mat time at Rogers or at Open Mats, I try and diversify as many opponents as I can to experiment with the things that I want to do. I like to try and think of my style as like, obviously most people will be like, he is a leg locker, and that's totally fair. I try and be creative when I'm on the mat. I just try and things that might work. And if they work, I'll keep doing it to then see if it works on everybody. If it doesn't work, I'll abandon it and then focus on something else. So I look at going to training as sort of like a lab almost. I know that sounds a bit pretentious, but like a little bit like trying to figure stuff out. And then I'll have one session a week where I'm actually trying to put on my A game and actually go super hard on the mats and competition. The rest of it, I just try and enjoy the flows, have fun with it. And then working with Jay, I have mainly just been really focusing on my nutrition, to be honest, as the name kind of implies. But, he has been fantastic in terms of like really helping me focus on good habits, good nutrition, supplements. So I go into every match at the optimal level that I could. And I think the results speak for themselves in the sense that Collision was a match that I really had a great build up for recently. And I didn't have heat stroke, which was great. That's always a good positive. I went into that one without heat stroke, so it was all good. And although I lost that match, I felt really great on the mat. Like I felt super fast, really on point. I gassed out like super fast, but I now working with Mark, it's like, no, we need to work on your cardio. We need to build those things. So it's really great working with two people, Jay and Mark, who are able to be like, okay, these are the gaps in your game. These are the gaps in your nutrition. Let's fill them and make you as like optimal as you can be. So yeah, that's kind of how I build up to matches. I just try and have fun. I want to have fun and give people exciting matches to watch, really. And I think you have to have fun when doing them.
You do. And thank you for sharing about reaching out to your opponents. One of the things that hadn't really occurred to me, certainly for me as a woman, finding someone else in my weight division, in my age division, that is kind of matched with me. I want to keep hold of those people. I want to train with them again and again and just keep working on my game, because often I'm not able to find opponents that are a fair match. Certainly, if you're put together in an invitational like Grapple Worlds 2. Do you have that similar problem, or do you have an abundance of people to train with at your age and weight divisions?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point for female grapplers. I think our space, our jiu-jitsu space, is not the best for female grapplers, as we've seen recently with current events that are appearing in jiu-jitsu and in the community. And I think it's important to have a space for women to feel that they can have that. I actually, when I was younger, I used to say to a lot of my female friends, oh, you should do jiu-jitsu. It's really good for self-defense. But now it's like I probably wouldn't say that, because I don't know if the space is safe for women. Like, I tell people to come train at Rogers because I know that's a safe space because I train there. But you just never know, which is really depressing. And I do think it's important to hold on to those people you find, as you have been, and I'm sure other women are the same. And I think, unfortunately, that's not just a jiu-jitsu problem. It's a wider issue with society, but that's a bigger conversation.
Yes, completely. That's another podcast.
That's another podcast. We'll make another one. We'll spin off. We'll just keep doing podcasts.
That's fine. But it's really nice to talk about, feeling quite relaxed and having fun. One of the things that kind of connects me with that mindset, I've swung a few golf clubs, and actually to get a really good kind of strike hit, whatever. I mean, I should really know. I'm not that much of a golfer, but to get a really good shot, I have to be completely relaxed. That it can't be anger. You can't come into any of this competitive sense, I don't feel, with that anger strategy. Maybe it works for some people, but it sounds like it doesn't work for you, and you're coming into the space completely, I'm not necessarily going to say zen, but you've got everything.
Definitely not zen. I'm definitely not zen.
lined up.
I think, and it kind of relates to the previous question where it's like, do I try and collect people, I guess, or do I have those abundance of training partners? I think for me, I just am a people person. I like, when you have your extroverted extroverts and introverted extroverts and all that sort of jazz. Like, I'm definitely an extroverted extrovert. I like being around people. I like talking to people, hence the podcasts. I like being chatty with people. Some would say a chatty patty, but I like talking to people. And I think
you mentioned that phrase before you came on the recording, didn't you?
Yeah, I am a chatty patty, and that's okay. So I think I just want to go into matches being calm and chill, because I find already the process of competing really anxiety inducing anyway. I get super anxious before a match. And people who tell you that they don't are lying. Like, they're either lying to themselves or they're lying to you to try and sound cool. If they need to lie to themselves to get through it, that's totally fair. But the honesty is that everybody gets anxious before a match. Everybody does. Even the greatest people in the world, I'm sure, 100% get anxious, and everybody has their coping mechanisms. And one of them, for me, has helped is knowing my opponents and just being friendly with them and chatting to them and not having this sort of tension that when you see him, it's like, oh, that's the guy I need to go against. It's like, he's just there like I am. He wants to have fun and enjoy it too. We're both there just to do jiu-jitsu. It's not like we're gladiators going to the death. That's not what this is, guys. It's just doing a sport and having fun. And that helps me enjoy it. And then at the other end of it, you've probably made a friend who you can chat to about a hobby that you're passionate about. And I still talk to Mike. I send him, good wishes every time he competes. And I keep saying I need to go down to train with him, because it's better to meet people you have similar interests with, right?
Yeah. Good. So you're training out of Roger Gracie in London. What is the setup like? You're training every single day? Is this something?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So like I train Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays I do cardio, then Thursdays I train, Fridays I'll train, Saturdays and Sundays I'll train as well. But I'm also lifting as well in that as well. But as I say, not every session is going to be, you know, to the death, you know, like we must roll and, you know, we're going to go full out and I'm going to break your ankle. Like that's literally one session a week is competitive rounds. The rest of the time I'm trying to have fun in the rolls. And really, actually, those ones where I'm having fun is the mindset I try and bring to the competition. It's just pairing the two together, right? Like having the fun, pairing the competition level, you know?
Yeah. Now, because nobody ever gets to the end of any episode, I will disclose that I came up. I had some business in London and I decided to register for 3 classes back to back at Roger Gracie HQ. I did the first class and then I sat on the side and had to drink loads of bottles of water and I didn't do the next 2, but I'm building up to it.
Yeah. It's the level there is great. Like I've been very fortunate to train at a lot of gyms with like a lot of great people. And I think London is obviously a hotbed of, you know, training. And I was fortunate to train with Ono Flanagan for a bit. I've trained with like Mateusz Jasinski as well. And I mentioned Kit earlier. At Rogers, we've got like Kiwan and Arturus as well, who are both competitors. So like, I'm very blessed to have trained with some really great people. And as I say, you know, you can go over to Armour as well, train with Fionn Davis. So there's some amazing gyms in London. But Rogers really feels like home, if you get me. Like it's a really friendly space. The irony that it is with Rogers is before I joined, everybody would say, oh, you're a number at Rogers because it's so big and corporate. But I've always felt like really at home and everybody's welcoming when you come in. They know your name. It's like Cheers, the show. They know your name. And everybody's super friendly. And because of that, I think that's important for a training mindset as well. You need to be happy where you're going. And Rogers is that home for me, really.
Good. Well, thank you for sharing all of that and spending time recording today and not recording your own podcast. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up this episode?
Oh, just, I guess, thank you for the time. And also thank you for people listening. I always think this whenever I do my own podcast. I'm like, I can't believe people actually want to listen to me talk for so long because I am such a chatty patty and my poor partner has to listen to me all the time. So I guess thank you for everyone else taking the time to actually listen to me drone on because I can talk a lot.
Absolutely.
I've been told I'm long-winded, but I refute that. But the other things, I guess, is I hope people come down to Grapple Worlds and enjoy the matches. It's a great competition. I think it's one of the best ones that I've been on, and I've really enjoyed being there. So hopefully I can be on Grapple Worlds free as well, because it's a really well-run competition and I'm really appreciative of them and appreciative of you. So thank you.
Thank you. Very much like your gym. Everyone does know your name. And I will look forward to meeting you in person at Grapple Worlds 2 on Saturday, the 28th of March. Go and grab your tickets over on grappleworlds.com. There is an Eventbrite link. Go and get the tickets and show up at Kassam Stadium. Amazing. Well, thank you, Ian.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell your friends about this show. And as always, check out the clips over on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Catch you on the next episode of the Grapple Worlds podcast.